Yo, what's happening, world? Name's Raheem Flowers, and this is a sequence to my other video that I made just the other day. Understand the Black Women from Niggress To Gods. Shout out to the brother Achilles. And what prompted me to continue this as a series is just noticing in the world that lately it's been a hot topic to talk about black women. I mean, whether you want to talk about Big B. Carroll, shout out to the brother Tommy Sotomayor, or David Carroll, or the Obsidian Network, or Sarge, Willie Pete, or Jason the Black Authority, whoever you listen to. I don't really hold any friendships with any of them. The closest one is Big B. Carroll, but other than that, my point of saying this is that black men started to shape up, which is kind of ironic for me to say because Trick Daddy said the same thing about black women needing to shape up. And then, the deflective tactics came in. And the funny thing about that is, women who were condemning Trick Daddy, a lot of these sisters out here would be willing to go and date and try to make a good man out of a man like Trick Daddy. I mean, when you got these women out there loving these YGs of the world and these 21 Savages and these Chief Keefs and all these dudes who try to portray some real nigga gangster lifestyle, this hyper masculine sideways simp image that they put up. I mean, all you're doing is you're perpetuating a cycle of dysfunction. You're not giving your children a real future. And it's not because black women can't do great things. I mean, there's a handful of sisters I still got respect for. I mean, there was even a woman who was on the news, I think it was like a few months ago, and she was discovering cures and trying to find a lead for a cure for cancer and / tumors. I believe she was from Alabama, somewhere in the South. And, nobody's asking you to be perfect. I mean, the thing is, black women and their simps love to pride themselves on being strong and independent and even going as far as being deified. The thing is, if you're going to be deified, then that means that would render you as perfect. And not only that, it omits you from any form of societal accountability. I mean, even Sister Shahrazad Ali was saying when she was on some talk show in the 90s, she said that she believes that black men are responsible, just like how I believe black men are responsible, saying that as a black man. The only thing is, women don't get confronted with the mess that they made, with the junkyard they built. That's the fundamental difference. We expect less from them. And to be fair, it's understandable in certain instances because it is us men who are supposed to be the builders. However, it's supposed to be the women who are the nurturers and who are the gatekeepers to the family unit. But many of them don't want to take that role because many black women want to be fucking big kids. It's just what it is. Sister Zahra Ali said this before my own inception because I'm only 24 and I was born in 1992. So I already know that this whole friction frenzy's been going on. And yes, I'm well aware that it was a lot of white feminists like Gloria Steinem's. You hear Anita Sarkeesian, whatever that Canadian broad's last name is, who wants to say that women are being sexually objectified in video games. They probably use Tomb Raider as an example. And I'm sure some of them will use anime, because even for Neverworld, shout out to For Neverworld, was speaking about how a lot of feminists tried to confront the hentai world in the anime community the same way that the black community gets infiltrated. But it's messed up though. I look at it like this: black women, I'm not even gonna call you double agents. You're like a quadruple or a triple agent or something, because you thought that you could get in on everybody. I don't need no man. I'm a strong, independent black woman. You tried to build this Amazoness matriarchy that didn't pan out. So now you have to have this perks of, now you want to have the perks of patriarchy while simultaneously having your own rugged matriarchy or whatever. And I don't like to sound like Sergeant Roy Pete, but that is a pretty valid point that he makes. Like, look, there needs to be some form of duality, some form of balance. You can't have one without the other. But you know, black women, y'all want to sound like a Tyler Perry movie or something. I could do bad all by myself. And you know, this is why I say black men are at fault. Black men like Tyler Perry are at fault, because you have fucked up experiences with black men as a black man or a black male coming up in the world. So then you not only try to monetize and profit off of your own sufferings and shortcomings that you had in life with dealing with black men, but then you try to exploit that same notion that you have with abusive men, and then you pass that on to women, and you try to sell them this ghetto ass Cinderella Princess and the Frog story. Am I right or am I wrong? That's why Tyler Perry, Steve Harvey, Drake, you got all these dudes out here simping and simping and simping, man. Cat Williams had the Pimp Chronicles, while y'all Negroes and y'all punk ass simps got the Simp Chronicles. It's pretty damn obvious of that. Whew. I mean, you really want to call these women queens, and yet you set low standards for yourself and for them. That's why you got so many ratchet women these days, because black men are out here trying to play Dolomite, trying to do the blaxploitative roles, thinking that they could be like Rick Ross and just get that drug money, that quick money, sell them to some woman who ends up becoming a cluck, and then knowing that what kind of consequences come later on in the future. I mean, what do you think you're gonna have? You're gonna have a bunch of degenerate children. It's like, damn, you can't really condemn the children, because you so-called elders are the ones who had spawned these little devils. And that's the thing I want to talk about. Back to the dualism. If we are gods, then we also have our devils. What do I mean by that? If we have our pros, we also have our cons. It's just what it is. But as I've stated before, mankind suffers from confirmation bias and selective morality, i.e. egotism. People don't want to acknowledge the errors of their ways, or they try to downplay it. As a matter of fact, there was a black woman on Sarge's video, a video that I genuinely actually liked by Sarge called Polished Turd Culture. And within this video, she was saying within the comment section that with us, we as black people, we have a bad tendency on romanticizing on our history, but we don't ever want to acknowledge where we went wrong. We really don't. And when we do, we try to still sugarcoat it, make it put glitters and gold, and how some is imputed on another individual for why we had our own failures. To me, that's an asinine way of thinking. I mean, that's like a teenager having a messed up parent, but then a teenager makes a conscious decision to do things, even though he has older brothers and older sisters that try to tell him and school him on not to be irresponsible and careless and not to do anything malicious. But then, because you had a parent that was demented and harsh and abusive, now people are going to try to justify and downplay the malicious acts that you committed. That's how I look at that situation. Even though this could be a straight A student, this person can excel, this person can participate in programs, but they have elements of what you would call a bad apple. And that's how I look at the history of black people. Yes, you could have done a lot of great, we have. You have the Mansa Musas, you have the Shaka Zulus, you have the Honorable Marcus Garveys, and for what it's worth, you have the Ali Selassies of the world. And yet, somewhere in the midst, you're always gonna have your other aspects of history, like the tribal warfare that was going on. If we as black people were unified like that, just from the jump in the motherland, white people would have never been able, in spite of their arsenals, would have never been able to come in all of Africa. Like, seriously. I mean, eventually you're gonna run out of ammos, right? But one thing that wasn't there was solidarity, and it's going on now. Even in this fake ass conscious community where niggas are just jagging off to themselves, ego stroking, and trying to say how many followers they got and how many people they got subscribed on YouTube, how many followers they got on Instagram, how many followers they got on Twitter. Like, it's just a bunch of cesspool of fuck shit, plain and simple. And, you got a bunch of sheeple out here. But in this case, us black people have become the black sheep. Isn't that something that's pretty messed up? I mean, at this point, drastic calls for drastic measures. I'm glad Trump low-key became president. Not because I like Donald Trump. Not because I think that he's going to make America great again for everybody, per se. But let me say this. I think Trump, this situation can go left, or it can really make things great again. Because now, I believe that during this time period, this is going to put people in the corner. This is going to make everybody light. It's going to put a torch right behind your behind. So you're going to have to do those chin-ups. You're going to have to put in that work again. We're going to have to work together. Just like during Jim Crow, just like during the segregation period. And honestly, black people were better off during segregation. Nobody can say otherwise. I mean, where black folks fucked up was when we were being rich, thinking about the Harlem Renaissance, thinking about Rosewood, thinking about the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, thinking about even when they call Atlanta the Black Hollywood and all that. Even when black people were economizing and developing their own businesses and doing their own thing and, you know, incorporating what the Honorable Marcus Garvey has brought, where black people fucked up was they weren't developing enough militant might. I mean, yeah, they had the Black Panthers at one point, but they got infiltrated. Why do you think, going back to the sisters, that Angela Davis, I mean, she was a black feminist. I mean, I'm not here to throw dirt on Angela Davis' name, but I gotta call what it is, man. Most of these black feminists out here, they just sound like some selfish motherfuckers. Either that or they have some fake ass solidarity. Most that I've come across. They don't, like, I think about Dorothy Hughes, and I even think about Alice Walker, who made The Color Purple. Like, it's like you focus so much on gender that you forgot about where you came from as a person, as a nation, as black people. So you kind of burnt that bridge, and you opened Pandora's box for everybody in the black community. And the other crazy part is you have outside forces, i.e. this white government, that gave black women this ultimatum of, okay, if you want to get benefits from us, you're going to have to make sure that there wasn't a man in the premises, and, you know, black men being highly incarcerated, etc. I mean, it just became a sequence of events. And now you have these children out here being degenerates. They call themselves savages here in Chicago. And you just have people who don't even have a conscience. And I consider the type of person they were raised by. They were raised by a selfish, lazy, complicit woman with her own intentions of building her own matriarchal system, but still abiding or wanting the perks of a patriarchy. Like, even my sister, when she posted something on Facebook, like, I don't want to hear that shit, because that's like a woman who bitches about having an abusive man and saying, I can't find a good man, but you still run to that motherfucker. You still run to that nigga. Because I guess in your eyes, he has quote unquote, and to you that person has quote unquote good dick. So you just can't get away from that. And that's how I look at your white daddy government. He's sticking his dick in you, and you getting a lot of pleasure out of that. Well, in this case, it's more financial / economic pleasure. And then you put your children on this system, and then they gotta resort to eating Cheetos and ramen noodles, and they gotta drink pop or soda, excuse me, you know, from the Midwest. They gotta resort to having all this stuff that is a detriment to their body, all in all. You know, I don't get on people for being in the circumstance they're in. I get more on the elders for it. But there becomes a certain point in time when if somebody tries to expose you to a different path, you should take it. But see, there's not enough black women out there calling out black women. I'm glad there's a Pincella Clark. I'm glad that there's a Melanie Sue Tech. I'm glad that Shahrazad Ali laid down the blueprint. I'm glad that there was a Frances dwellings. I mean, I'm glad that there were people out there that did get the information. Even if I don't agree with everything they say, they still had some validity, some merit on what they said and what could be done. Because I don't see things getting better. And the reason why I don't see things getting better is because we got too many people out here who are enablers. The white daddy government, simps, other black women, these white feminazis, and just feminazis in general. I mean, and even black men. Like, I don't want to hear about how fucked up black women are when you're not even talking to them directly. And you're not even trying to point out the debauchery that they've committed, that you have enabled or you have downplayed. I mean, shoot, I understand that not all black women are like that. And I get the fact that I just named a few sisters, I'm well aware of that, but they shouldn't be the minority. Because it's easy to run across a ratchet bitch who just shoots off the mouth, complains about, I can't find a good man, and then like, it's just a pathological dysfunctional behavior. I mean, after a while, you have to say, I made a conscious decision because it's just what I like and this is what I'm used to. But when somebody else tries to show you something different, it's like, damn, because black people have abandonment issues. My homie who I love like a brother, he has so much logic to him, but he's a prime example of what I mean. I mean, you left Chicago because you had a situation with a girl, and then you went to a different state and you're dealing with something that's virtually the same. I mean, he even almost lost his life for it this year in 2016. And you know, my brother from another mother, his situation is a result of being raised by a woman who didn't have the right mind. And I'm not dissing my homie's mother. I'm just going off of my own observation. Like, he was raised around somebody. He was raised around dysfunction. So, you know, environmentally, that's what he's comfortable with. Black women have those abandonment issues and they pass it on to their children. I think about the good times. I think about Florida and how she was as a black woman. And she had those traditionalist elements, those key elements. But, you know, black women want to do bad all by themselves. They want to say they don't need no man and they're strong and independent. But then when you want to have a bitch like Crystal and Karazine get mad because her white daddies didn't satisfy her or they're not getting the attention that they were ideally looking for, then they want to say, how come my black men were out there to protect me or give me attention? Nah, man. Sarge said it best. When you hop the fence, bitch, you can't come back. I mean, you can leave, but just know you can't come back. Because when you go around trying to denigrate, when black men try to denigrate black women, and then when shit don't pan out with that white girl, when shit don't pan out with that Spanish broad, when shit don't pan out with that Asian girl or that mixed girl, guess what? You can't just go back and run to a black woman. Because that's some snake shit. And to be honest with you, a man should be able to acknowledge the repercussions for it. And you usually won't see a man do that as much as a woman. I mean, that's why I don't take broads like Caroline seriously, and I rarely even bring her up. I don't even understand why Angry Man apologized to a broad like that. She is like the epitome of what is wrong with black women. So you don't have to be ratchet. So you have to understand, I look at black women like the Holy Trinity. They're all one and the same. So even if you're one of those broads like Crystal and Carazine, you want to be a quote-unquote Oreo, Negro Bedouin, or quote-unquote Aunt Jemima, or you want to be like Laquita and you want to take advantage of your baby daddy and put him on child support and continue to live in the hood, and you're breeding like insects and putting your children in a fucked up environments and situations where they can't prosper and can't be enriched. It's like it's one big economic blockade for them because of your own conscious and selfish decisions. And then you got the upper class black women who want to be like Olivia Pope / Kerry Washington and lay in bed with their white daddies and be their mistress and slut, and then they will take advantage of a black man just to get off whenever they're just bored and they're not satisfied and they're not getting that attention from their white daddy, so they're gonna go to something that's convenient and something they know they can easily get, just like a black man. And then you got the bohemian Erykah Badu. The black woman is God. They got their scarves wrapped up, and you know they want to hear some simp ass niggas like Young Pharaoh or some fool in a dashiki or a kufi telling them that they're gods and they're queens all day, bigging them up, and not even if they really want their women to be queens and gods and / goddesses, why don't they tell them where they're going wrong so they can start to right their wrongs? But no, because like I said, a lot of these men out here are a bunch of enabling ass, simp ass, punk ass niggas who don't even want to consider that. See, when I talk to my girl, I say what I say and I say it unapologetically. I'm not going to fucking back down because that's something you don't like or something you don't want to hear. Because I say what I say and I fucking mean it and stand behind it. Nobody's going to make me retract my statements simply because I like you and simply because it may be obscene to you and it may hurt your feelings and it may be offensive because of how you said it. That's a disingenuous argument, because guess what? You were used to hearing, see, a lot of these black people, you were used to hearing your black mothers talk. They probably were talking 10 times more vigorous than I talk, and I bet you most of it was less constructive than another person speaking. So when you say it's not what you say but how you say it in one breath, but in another breath you can say, well, you know, my mama was hard on me, but I learned a lot from her and that was just tough love she's bringing. What makes you think it's not when other people do give you that approach? And to be honest with you, they can articulate it much better rather than saying you ain't shit and you ain't shit like your daddy. I'm glad I wasn't brought up in that household, but still, I know too many people that are/were. Growing up, I didn't say shit about black problems. I kept my mouth shut. I didn't even really start thinking and talking about it till I was like 21, 22-ish. And now, I'm looking at this situation and I notice the only way that we're going to be able to better ourselves if our women do first. And then everything else is going to pretty much follow suit. But at the same token, black men, we have to get our shit right. And not even just for women per se, but for the future. I mean, everything is going to follow suit, man. O'Shea Jackson said it best. If we just did us, made our own communities, and just excelled in whatever we did, and things will start to develop. There will be a new development. And then the women it would be like nature would damn near force women to change their attitudes. They would have to eventually respect you and then tone down whatever hostility that they initially had, because I think black women's attitude is a mere reflection of just the overall state of the black community. That's what I mean when I was talking about tipping the scale and the duality. Their mindset is a reflection of what is wrong with black people. Where we as black men go wrong. Like, I'm not saying that we should just do this solely for black women. No, we should do this for ourselves. We should do this for our children. And we should just do this so we can actually be equalizers to the world. Because like I said, our black women's mindset is just a reflection of the state black people are in, all in all. I mean, when there's no foundation to go behind, people are going to act reckless. I mean, it's fucked up, but when I think about the things black people are going through, some may say that this is like an anarchy or some sort. I think about that movie, The Purge, the election purge. You see, we're going to validate our extermination very soon if nothing comes up. And really, black women, all I can say at this point is you're going to have to bear with us. The ones who are actually trying to build something, the one who's actually trying to build a future, instead of going for Jaquan and Javon and Pookie and Ray Ray and Marquise and all that shit, instead of just perpetuating that cycle and this hyper false image of what a man is, this hyper masculine image, I mean, you have to reevaluate. See, black people don't really understand their history enough. This is why you can have people give all these documentaries. I mean, even the Hidden Color series, like, people don't really emphasize on where we went wrong. People will exalt black history, talk about, oh, you gotta think about the kings like Osiris, and we gotta talk about Egypt and Timbuktu, and we gotta talk about, Nelson Mandela and the apartheid, or Bishop Desmond Tutu, and we gotta just look at all the greatness that black people have done throughout history as if we're some omnibenevolent beings who have not made any blunders, because clearly we have. I mean, I refuse to say otherwise. I wish that sometimes, instead of, like, that's what I don't understand. Like, this is why I have such a problem with Q, World Star. Q knew that he can profit off of black people's misery, which is why he made World Star Hip Hop. Initially, World Star Hip Hop was more of a site that catered to hip hop music, even though it was a lot of ratchetness. But then it became globalized and sensationalized by ratchetness. You have a bunch of sociopaths, a bunch of hipsters. You got the dregs of society who just embrace that site and troll and spam, talking out of their asses. I mean, to me, I thought about something my mother told me. This is the woman who told me this. My mother told me that women tend to be more passive aggressive. And I think about how people respond on social media. That's some passive aggressive shit, because the majority of people who say those things on social media wouldn't think about saying that in real life. Or sometimes they've been so driven by social media that now they think they got some power, and then their ego talks them into doing that, and then boom, they talk shit. My point in saying that is, if a woman told me that the woman is more prone to being passive aggressive, I think about, now, these dudes were most likely raised by women. So they think they can say anything and not deal with repercussions. I mean, and I think that's how a lot of black women like to act. They can say and do anything, and repercussions is not even a factor in their mind. And that's because a lot of men have allowed them to. A woman is only going, I mean, let's be honest. A woman has, just like words, when it comes to this matter, a woman only has as much power as you allow them. And I'm referring to the white daddy government. I'm referring to these black men out here who are trying to depict a certain image, and then procreating, and then creating that bastardized bastard child. I mean, how long are we gonna keep this going? How long is this wheel of madness gonna keep driving? And we don't need black people out here trying to just go and side with white people and other outside forces, and then wondering why they don't get respect by black people. Because I understand that black people can treat black people like shit. I know that too damn well. From my family, from my colleagues and peers in school, like, I know. But I've never given up on black people. And as long as I live, I can't see myself just completely giving up. Now, I don't associate myself with most mainstream blacks. I will say that, which is why I consider myself a renegade and an anti-hero to the so-called black community until things get better. But the ones who do appreciate the things that I try to do and say, that I'm just going to continue doing what I must. I mean, I look at black women and I look at my situations. I've dealt with a woman, she went by the name of Charisma, interestingly enough, but her name was actually Sharquita, and guess what? She was a single mother. I helped her pay her bills, her phone bill, and I wasn't doing this in hopes of getting pussy. I was legitimately just like, you know what? Why not, man? Fuck it. You seem like a decent person. I was expecting to get my money back, foolishly enough, naively enough, and even promised a birthday present. Really dope ass necklace, but shit didn't pan out, and that was my fault. Because in that moment, I really thought that this was a genuine individual. See, black women, they like to pride themselves on being single mothers. And just because you don't have a bad relationship with your baby daddy, just because you don't put him on child support, that is not a title that you should be proud of. Because it shows me that there's a lack of a dynamic with black people. That's why I like the Cosby Show. And that's why I like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But now we got Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now we got The Empire. And, you know, even though I like Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, philosophically, and I like some of his music, we got power. We got all this ratchetness. I mean, it makes black people, especially black women, look like a joke. I mean, this to me seems like another faction of a minstrel show. This is just a bunch of coonery and buffoonery. To me, I love nothing more than a black woman who could be objective about their situation. They could admit to their faults. They could try to do better and build programs. They could actually try to confront their children and let them know where they fucked up at, so they don't have to deal with a woman who's done that. Just like a man, he should tell his daughter, listen, it's okay to want elements of me, but you don't want all of this, because you were not a planned birth. I was just caught up in a momentary pleasure, and then you came. No pun intended. And yeah, being transparent, acknowledging the errors of your ways, and just loving your children and being a better person, being a better black man, better woman, black woman, being a better individual, all in all. Instead of just taking the cowardice route and making it and just trying to exalt yourself, because that's the problem. Enough taking this blue raspberry pill. Step out of the matrix, take that bitter red pill, that sour shit, and see the world for what it truly is. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, these white people, these social justice warriors, these white liberals, they don't give a fuck about you. They only come when it's convenient. Why you think Macklemore, where's Macklemore at when all these black dudes are getting shot up? And I mean, where's any of these individuals when, I even think about the situation with Dylan Roof. Like, where was Black Lives Matter? Or where were all these super thugs? Where were these real niggas at when Dylan Roof went and shot up 9 people? Huh? Where were y'all niggas at? Where were you GDs at then? Where were you BDs at then? Where were you Vice Lords at? Where were you Bloods and Crips at? Where are all you super thugs at? When this one little white boy did that action, because let me tell you something, you could have never did that shit to some little Chinese boy. I think about a situation in Chicago where this Asian boy got ambushed in an alley. This was in 2012. And I never heard from that situation again. You got people apologizing and being scared, and they found their phone numbers. And I'm sure one of these little Chinamen boys from Chinatown in Chicago went and saw these little white boys. But either way, they got checked. For black people, we got to do the whole forgive and forget, let bygones be bygones. This pacifist action. And like I said, it goes back even when we talk about slavery. And I'm not one who likes to romanticize on slavery, but I think about when black women have submitted to white men and became their mistress. And then they enjoy taking that role, even in this day and age. I've seen so many black girls on social media saying, where the white boys at? Okay, it's one thing to like white dudes, but then when you exclude black men, it's like, what the fuck? Just like when black men say, oh man, like with Trick Daddy saying that black women need to shape up. Right message, wrong messenger. Because paradoxically, these are the type of Negro that black women go for. Yup. Man. I look at it like this. Whenever people give the wholehearted truth, whenever people decide to actually build some sort of programs and actually be proactive with their kin and tell them where they're fucking up at instead of exalting them and giving these half truths throughout history, give them the positive and the negatives. Transcend your ego, as Charlemagne said. And you'll see the results, and you'll see black people start to flourish gradually. Because it's not going to happen in our generation. No. But we can plant a seed and watch that tree grow. Negroes. So let's have more sisters do things and lead examples. That's why I like Melanin Sutek. That's why I can dig a message by Priscilla Clark instead of just black women just giving half-truths and soft blows on where they mess up at, but actually give them that whole, keep it 1,000%. You know? Because I think there are black women waking up, just like the sister in Sarge's comment section. I think when I hear Melanin Sutek talking to Tommy about the degeneracy and the dysfunction and the dissension that is caused, that's why I didn't like Chirac by Spike Lee, because that was a great concept that was horribly executed. It was just more exalting and simping instead of just being like, alright, because let's face the facts. If black women don't give black men pussy, will they really stop? At first, I was like, yeah, but then I had to think about this. There's so many gay Negroes, like that situation wouldn't even pan out well now in this day and age, because you got so many Negroes out here fucking trannies. You got many black dudes fucking each other and, you know, doing some prison protocols. So I don't think that would be very effective. All you're gonna have are some sexually frustrated niggas, and you're gonna have a bunch of sexually frustrated women, and they're gonna end up like Young Ma, the rapper, becoming studs. Which is funny because even that goes back into slavery with some Mandingo shit. So you're gonna have a bunch of strap-ons by women because these bras are sexually frustrated, but they told themselves they're not gonna give up no punani in hopes of trying to have a safer community and less violent. It's the same way when white people talk about black dysfunction. I mean, you all grew, you all built this up. This became a stockpile. You all had this Frankenstein walking around for generations. And now you want to say how black people are savages? Well, guess what? They're just a byproduct of what you've built over the years. They're a byproduct of what you've done during the Dark Ages. They're a byproduct of your Inquisitions. They're a byproduct of all the barbarism, the savagery, and of the Vikings and the Romans. I mean, that's all it is. And we all know that Africa, the way they try to depict Africa in images and history and documents, it wasn't all that sweet, because we know that there was tribal warfare going on. We know there was black people who were ratting other black people in Africa out. We know that Idi Amin was not the ideal leader. We know that there are black people out here who went out and talked down to each other. Like, you got Caribbean blacks, like what my people are, Caribbean blacks and black Africans, and Caribbean blacks, black Africans, black Americans, all talking down to each other. Everybody trying to have this ego fest and trying to build this hierarchical ladder. I mean, you're basically trying to take this white man's blueprint, the one that you claim to hate and you say is a snow monkey and inferior and all this stuff, but it's crazy. We both have a superiority and inferiority complex, so simultaneously. Now, at a point in time like this, just black people, we need to show and prove, instead of going on saying, the black woman is God, and this is our land, this is our nation, and no white man is gonna think that he can invade our land. These white supremacists are just doing the deal of the devil, even though we do the deal of the devil too, and we want to act like Rollo Goodlove or Jeremiah Wright, and we want to profit off of black people's misery. We are no different than a Tyler Perry. We are no different than these lying-ass pastors. We are what you call the Afrocentric. Power to the people. I'm black and I'm proud, even though I like to call others coons. I like to call others crispy, like Tommy Sotomayor. I love to watch Hidden Colors film, but I also love to watch the Crispy series. I love to date light-skinned girls with natural hair, and I like to take advantage of the dark-skinned sisters whenever I get a chance I can get off. I need my black queen to understand that there is some divine intervention that's going down, and white supremacy will be taken down, because they have ruled this world far too long, and it's time to make changes. Isn't that right, Brother Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Umar Johnson, Dr. Boyce Watkins? Am I right? We are going to make changes, and in honor of Sister Frances Cress Lowndes, we will continue to exploit these black single mothers and tell them that they are victims, just like my main man Theo Wilson. Oh yes, can I get an amen? It's time to take out the white supremacists by talking down to other Negroes who have a different way of thinking, because there isn't free thinking. You have to understand there is something called group thinking. We have to be monolithic, and we have to remember that there is only one way that the black man and one way that the black woman think. Because if you don't think that way, then you are simply a coon, an Uncle Tom, a Negro bedwench, a race traitor, and you do not belong in the black community if you do not understand the psyche of the hood Negro. Everything was all conditioned by the white supremacists and their propaganda. I want you all to understand this. Because if you don't understand this, you will be trapped in the system of white supremacy. Shout out to Brother Polite, because I too want to go in a strip club and talk about black empowerment, but then I'm not really down for no movement. I'm just down to see some strippers make some movements. Do you feel me, brother man? I sure hope so. Now, please, let me continue to wear my dashiki, wear my bean pie, watch Hidden Colors, and listen to Public Enemy while I go look for some porno, or if I can find me some sex tape of Mrs. Erykah Badu. Or perhaps I could get off and masturbate to beautiful BBWs like the sister Jill Scott. But one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to tell these black men to take societal accountability, nor am I going to tell black women, because this is all the brainwashing of white supremacists. Coons are just deflecting from the real issue, the internal issues that we are not at fault for. So please keep that in mind. Yes, sir. The last thing that we need right now are for annoying ass coons like Tommy Sotomayor. The last thing that we need is to hear about black men talking about they need accountability. So all of them can run along now, and we can go back to loving our queens, because we know that the black woman is truly the God. They rule this earth. There is a reason why they call it Mother Nature, and there is a reason why they call it human, because hue as in hubris, man, and men tend to have that arrogance. And that's where the prefix hue comes in, from human. But we need to be humane with black people. Let the white devils fend for themselves, because they wanted to vote for Donald Trump. If they want to vote for these racist crackers like Donald Trump, and these bitch-ass coons want to talk about how Donald Trump is, and they want to be Trump supporters, let them be supporters. But we are going to continue to support the movement by watching Hidden Colors series, listening to Robert Perkins call people coons all day, listening to Tariq Nasheed call people coons all day, and boy, am I looking forward to that Coon Train Awards and that plantation skit, because that is going to make evolution within black people. You have nothing to feel sorry for, black men, black women, because you are just being conditioned by this evil white scientist known as Yakub. Peace and love, brothers and sisters. Fuck this white man and his Atlantic slave trade. Now, what do you say, Ahmed? We shall go to mosque and eat some bean pies, while neglecting the Arab slave trade. Oh yes. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, and before I go, I want to give a shout out to the 5150, Brothers Earl Williams, Mr. Corey Holcomb. You giving the Shy a good name. I peeped that Black Jesus skit, and you going in on Stephen A. Smith for his cooning, saying racism doesn't exist. He most certainly is a fool for that, and somebody need to go and slap him upside his head, because that coon looking like a reject version of George Jefferson. Oh yeah, that coon move on up, because he just stay cooning whenever he run his mouth on ESPN. Oh yes. And let's not forget all these dudes who like to go in on black women and don't like to show their faces, like Mr. Jason Black Authority. We can't forget about you now, Mr. Negro, who don't show his face. And let's not forget that we have so many people out here who don't want to get down
with the black cause, and they don't want to get down with Black Lives Matter, because really and truly, Black Lives Matter. I mean, who gives a fuck if Jewish people like George Soros did fund the movement, but didn't Jewish people also fund the civil rights? Yes. Oh yes. Amen, brothers and sisters. See, the Jewish people, they know about the plight. They know about the struggle. Oh, they know about it so well that men like Steven Spielberg could even make Amistad with my man, Morgan Freeman. Oh yes, the brother wanted us to stop talking about race because, you know, that is the practical way of handling the situation, by not talking about it. Oh yes. Coon train is definitely coming, Mr. Tariq Nasheed. Oh yes. The last thing we need is to be dealing with these coons, these Sambos, walking around, just making it seem like we're supposed to be equal with this white man and his destructive white supremacy that will come and bite him in the ass. Oh yes. We can forget about all the things that white people did. We can forget, and we shall follow in the move, in the steps of our great ancestors. We shall embrace Egypt, because Egypt was really the only important nation in Africa. We don't really care for Nigeria or Ghana or Mali or the Ivory Coast or Sierra Leone. No. Egypt is where it's at. This is why I got love for my brothers like Young Pharaoh. I got love for all the brothers who are in the movement, like Brother Sarnetta. Oh yes. I love that you call them coons out on Sarnetta TV. Now, what we need to do, after we done with this movement, we need to start tricking off for black women like we were doing initially. We need to start just going and fading to black until there is another victim of white supremacy and Black Lives Matter shows up, and then we gonna speak our piece about that evil cracker who keeps propagating white supremacy. We don't need no more suspected white supremacists. Ain't that right, Tariq Nasheed? Ain't that right? Y'all need to keep calling coons out. And I loved how Tariq Nasheed, during the Breakfast Club, gave Charlemagne that Coon Train Awards. Now that indeed was a backhanded compliment. Wouldn't you say so, Mr. Tariq? Charlemagne the Coon, that was a well-deserved and honorable mention in his awards, because nobody deserved that award more than Crispy. Nobody deserved that award more than Sheriff Clark. These coons are just popping out like cockroaches or rats in New York. Oh yes. I love the movement. Okay, monologue aside, this is how these niggas really think. It's sad. It's sad that I would, even though I grew up in an Afrocentric environment, granted, so it's easy for me to do this, but that's not the point though. Why is it so easy to read these niggas? It's so easy. They're no different than these pastors. They can talk about white Christianity. They can talk about how they can even condemn Islam, which is deservingly condemned in my opinion. But they can talk about all this stuff that is supposed to be viceful and counterproductive for blacks, but they're just as counterproductive. You see how people started to ride this wave? They started to ride this fake black nationalist Afrocentric wave, what, around 2011, 2012? Now everybody wants to be part of revolution, but then they realize, what are they fighting for? See, black people don't even know how to approach racism. Somebody in a dead-end hip-hop video where they were talking about Kanye's rant put it best. Man. I mean, I don't even get it. And Kanye, even though I got love for him and I heard he's hospitalized, man, get well, brother. But you see, Kanye, he's a prime example of how black people, they don't really know what they want. It's like, as long as racism is not directly affecting them, they don't really care. I mean, don't get me wrong, you have people like Tariq who will monetize off that shit and profit off of it whenever they can, but they're not going to complain if they're going to go to their white suburbs, white neighbors, and they're going to continue talking shit about other blacks who are not in agreement. Now, those blacks who may not be in agreement with you, they may not have the best interest for black people. I'm not going to sit here in front like they do, but neither do you. So you can knock off the pretentious act. That's all I'm saying. I can see through that shit. I just wish that more Negroes could. But, you know, not to quote Karl Marx too much, but this is their opium. Your own victimhood, your own circumstance, your own misery has become your own opium. Ain't that ironic? The thing that makes you miserable is the thing that results in you, in turn, getting some euphoric feeling. Yup. The only way that you can truly be a god and a master of your fate is when you start to acknowledge your own abilities, your own hard work, your own potential, instead of letting somebody tell you that you're a victim of this system and you shouldn't be held responsible. Because let me tell you something, white people aren't looking to give you reparation. Now, I'm not looking for white people to give me reparation. Yeah, they can give the Japanese reparations. Yeah, they can give Jews reparations. Yeah, they can give the Red Indians reparations. But black people, you have to come to the realization that you have to build something. And not only do you have to build something, an economic system, you have to also be able to build some security, some guardians of some sort, policing yourselves. I mean, Black Panthers did it, but then they got infiltrated. But there needs to be some sort of code of conduct, something to live by, a rule, because that's the thing. If you don't live by no rules, it's easy for anything to infiltrate. If you don't stand by anything, you'll fall for anything, or from, rather. Yup. I think that's my overall take on it. Peace out, everybody.